In this demo, we're running a 5-axis finishing routine on an Okuma MU 5000V to highlight the latest updates to ESPRIT EDGE's 5-axis remachining cycle. The setup uses a 5th-axis rock-lock base plate with their self-centering vise, along with the sandbag holders for stability and reach during the cut. We'll look at how the new flow and parallel passes shapes improves finishing in steep corners, shallow blends, and complex transitions. Let's take a look. The bulk of the machining is already complete, and all the features are set up, including the freeform features we'll use for remachining. Freeform features let ESPRIT work directly from surface geometry, which is ideal for blended organic shapes like the ones found in this example. We'll start by selecting our 9 freeform feature. The green fillets represent the areas we want to cut, and the red surfaces are set as check geometry. These check surfaces make sure the toolpath avoids those regions as we focus only on the fillet blend. With the 9 freeform features selected, I'll launch the 5-axis remachining cycle. I'm starting by resetting the operation with default all, so we're working from a clean baseline, especially since we'll be comparing multiple pass shape strategies later on. In the General tab, I'll name this operation 5-axis remachining for fillet, central pass offset, and select our B6, the 6mm ball end mill designed for these finishing passes. I'll enter the feeds and speeds for this tool, and that completes the general setup. With the general setup finished, we'll head to the Toolpath tab. Here, we'll apply the central pass offset pattern to generate our baseline toolpath. It gives us a clear reference so the improvements from the newer flow and parallel strategies are easier to see later. Inside the Toolpath tab, the first setting we'll look at is the machining type. There are 4 modes here. Continuity, which we'll use for this first pass, machines steep and shallow regions together as a single uninterrupted area. Steep and shallow areas create a slope-based split so each region can be machined independently. Steep areas only and shallow areas only apply that same slope logic but isolate the toolpath to one side of the split. Next, in the corner section, I'll set the reference tool radius to 0. This ensures we're creating a full finishing toolpath with no remaining stock. And while we're here, I'll hover over the corners between part faces option. This controls whether corner detection happens strictly between part faces or whether it also considers transitions between part faces and check faces. Useful when you need tighter control around blended surfaces. Now, let's move down to the continuity section where we choose the pass's shape. This is the key parameter for the comparisons we'll be making. Concentric generates classic concentric passes. Concentric and central pass adds a cleanup pass along the center line. Flow morphs the passes between the boundaries and maintains a more uniform distribution across varying widths. And central pass, which we're using here, offsets from the central lengthwise curve of the feature. I'll select central pass offset and set the step over. That completes the toolpath setup for the first operation. Next, we'll move into the Orientation tab where we define how the tool axis will be controlled for this operation. The key parameter here is tool axis positioning. This determines whether the toolpath is driven by the index work planes, by automatic orientation, or a combination of both. For this operation, we'll use strategy and automatic orientation. This mode lets us specify a sequence of index work planes that the system will attempt to machine from first. Any remaining areas that can't be reached from those planes are then handled automatically, which gives us reliable coverage without sacrificing control. It's a strong choice when you're dealing with blended or variable axis geometry like this. I'll add our ZXY plane to the orientation strategy. This sets the primary index direction the system should use when possible. Everything that can be cut from this orientation will be, and then the automatic logic will take over where needed. Below that, we have the automatic orientation options, and it's worth briefly walking through what each one is geared towards. 3+2 split, tip and gauge, evaluates the model and assigns indexed orientations that maximize cutter tip contact, only falling back to a zone-based split when necessary. 3+2 split, feature plane, works similarly, but the selected orientations are chosen to align as closely as possible to the W axis of the feature's workplane or an override workplane if one is defined. Tip and gauge, which is the default, prioritizes maintaining normal contact between the cutter tip and the surface throughout the toolpath, ideal for high-quality finishing on free-form shapes. And feature plane keeps the tool aligned with the W axis of the free-form feature. Again, useful when you want a more constrained axis alignment throughout the motion. For this example, we'll stay with the default tip and gauge, which is the most appropriate orientation strategy for this type of finishing pass. With the orientation defined, that completes the orientation tab. We'll leave all the settings in the linking tab at their defaults, and we're ready to generate the toolpath. Now that the toolpath is generated, we can see exactly how central pass offset behaves on this geometry. You'll notice several areas where the passes break up or change direction abruptly. Those interruptions are shown here by the dash rapid moves as the cutter lifts and repositions to stay on the offset pattern. I'll play the simulation to take a closer look. As the tool moves through the fillet transitions, you can see why this happens. The constant offset approach works cleanly only when the fillet width and curvature are fairly uniform. But in this model, the width of the feature changes and the surface transitions aren't consistent. That forces the algorithm to restart the passes in a few locations, which creates those gaps and direction changes we're seeing. This gives us a solid baseline. Central pass offset is predictable, but it also exposes its limitations when the geometry becomes more complex or the fillet tapers. In the next section, we're going to replace this with the flow passes shape. Flow takes a completely different approach. Rather than offsetting from a center line, it morphs the passes between the boundaries of the feature. That allows the step over to adjust naturally to the changing geometry. In most cases, produces a much smoother, uninterrupted path. So now that we've seen the behavior of the traditional offset strategy, let's move on and apply flow to the same freeform feature. I'll start by selecting the same 9 freeform feature and reopening the 5-axis remachining cycle. ESPRIT retains the previous settings, and that's exactly what we want here. By keeping every parameter identical, we can make a clean, controlled comparison between central pass offset and flow without any influence from tool selection, feed, speeds, or orientation strategy. In the General tab, I'll rename this operation 5-axis remachining for fillet flow. Nothing else changes here. Same tool, same freeform feature, same setup. So the only variable in this comparison will be the pass's shape itself. Next, I'll move into the Toolpath tab. Under the Continuity section, I'll switch the pass's shape from Central Pass Offset to Flow. This is the only adjustment we're making. Flow uses a completely different logic. Instead of offsetting from a center line, it morphs the passes between the boundaries of the feature. This allows the step over to adapt naturally to changes in the fillet width and curvature, giving the toolpath more freedom to follow the geometry instead of forcing the geometry to match a fixed offset rule. With that one parameter updated, I'll go ahead and generate the toolpath. As the toolpath appears, you can immediately see the difference. Instead of the interrupted sections and direction changes we saw earlier, Flow produces a full continuous pattern across the entire feature. There are no restart points, no repositioning moves, and no abrupt shifts in direction. The system maintains smooth engagement because the passes transition gradually along the natural shape of the fillet. I'll play the simulation so we can look at it in motion. As the cutter moves through the blend, notice how the toolpath aligns with the true behavior of the surface, not just at the center, but across the entire width of the feature. The morphing step over distribution means the tool stays in contact more consistently, which leads to cleaner finishes and fewer visual artifacts on the part. This is where Flow pulls ahead of the older offset-based strategies. It handles tapered blends, variable radii, and non-uniform transitions without breaking the path. On components where you're trying to avoid witness lines or maintain uniform micro finish, this kind of continuous motion is exactly what you want. So with the flow pass shape applied and compared directly against central pass offset, we now have a clear picture of how each strategy behaves. In the next section, we'll move into a different scenario, introducing a steep and shallow split and applying the new parallel strategy in steep regions while continuing to use flow in the shallow areas. Before we move into the steep and shallow example, I want to add one more comparison. We've now seen central pass offset and flow inside the 5-axis remachining cycle, but ESPRIT also offers a 3-axis global finishing strategy that's commonly used on shallow blends. It's a good reference point because its behavior highlights the limitations of a fixed work plane compared to a full 5-axis approach. So let's take a look at that using a different feature. I'll select the 10 freeform feature and the target geometry is shown in green. This feature includes a mix of faces, radii, and some fillets, all the areas we want to finish in this comparison. The surrounding surfaces are defined as check geometry in red, which keeps the cycle restricted to the selected regions. This definition is applied consistently across both the top side and the underside of the part. The green areas are our active machining targets, and the red surfaces are protected. With 10 freeform selected, I'll choose the global finishing strategy from the freeform operations. In the General tab, I'll name the operation Global Finishing. Select the same B6 6mm ball end mill and apply the same feeds and speeds used earlier so that our comparison stays consistent. In the Toolpath tab, I'll set the slope angle threshold to 30 degrees to define the steep versus shallow split. Increase the incremental depth to 1.2 millimeters and set the step over for the shallow region to 1 millimeter. All limits, linking, and collision settings remain at their default values. With those parameters set, I'll generate the toolpath. Once the toolpath appears, Global Finishing produces a clean, shallow area pattern on the top side of the part. But the bottom side of the feature, there's no toolpath generated. That's expected. Global Finishing is a 3-axis strategy. It machines strictly from the orientation of the assigned work plane and doesn't automatically reorient the tool for geometry on the opposite side. This gives us a useful reference point. Global finishing works well for shallow regions, but only from a single direction. In the next section, we'll return to 5-axis remachining and apply flow specifically to the shallow areas so we can directly compare the two finishing approaches. With the 10 freeform feature highlighted, we'll move back to the freeform 5-axis toolpath and select the remachining cycle. We'll reuse the same General tab inputs as before to keep this comparison consistent, and then head straight to the Toolpath tab. In the remachining section, I'll change the machining type to steep and shallow areas. I'll set the slope angle threshold to 30 degrees, then update the steep path step over to 1.2 millimeters. The shallow area strategy will remain set to flow and its step over stays as is. This combination gives us flow-based morphing passes in the shallow regions and a different approach in the steep areas. Next, I'll move into the Orientation tab. Under the Orientation Strategy work plane list, I'll add both the ZXY plane and the bottom plane. These two indexed orientations give the system the flexibility to machine both sides of the feature without interruption. Still in this tab, under Steep and Shallow Split, I'll change the slope angle width from Feature Work Plane to 3+2 indexing. This forces the steep versus shallow evaluation to follow the two work planes we just defined, giving us a consistent and predictable split across the entire feature. There's nothing else we need to change, so I'll press OK to generate the toolpath. Once the toolpath appears, you can see the result immediately. The system applies flow across the shallow regions and the new path shape in the steep corners. And thanks to the dual work planes, the cycle machines both the top and the underside of the feature. This gives us a full, multi-directional finishing strategy that goes beyond what the 3-axis global finishing cycle can achieve. In the next section, we'll take a closer look at how these patterns behave and compare the flow-based shallow finishing to the 3-axis global finishing approach. When we look closely at the global finishing toolpath, you can clearly see the concentric constant offset pattern it applies across the shallow regions. It's efficient and it generates a shorter toolpath overall, but the uniform direction changes creates visible transitions along similar corners of the part. That's a natural limitation of a constant offset strategy. The toolpath doesn't adapt as the geometry widens or narrows, so the surface can pick up those directional shifts. Comparing that to the 5-axis remachining cycle with flow, the difference in path shape is immediately recognizable. Instead of uniform offsets, flow distributes the passes with a variable step over and gradually morphs between the inner and outer contours of the shallow area. This produces a much smoother transition across the blend and minimizes those witness lines that we saw in the concentric pattern. Even though the 5-axis toolpath is longer, the surface result is noticeably cleaner because the passes follows the natural behavior of the geometry. The gradual, uniform variation in flow's distribution reduces abrupt directional changes and creates a more consistent finish, especially around the corners and tapered areas where the constant offset approach struggles. Looking at the back side of the part, you can clearly see the contrast between the two strategies at work. In the steep regions, the cycle switches to a Z-level approach, creating clean, consistent, vertical slices wherever the surface exceeds the slope threshold. In the shallow areas around those features, the flow pattern takes over, morphing smoothly between the boundaries and maintaining uniform engagement across the surface. What makes this so effective is how naturally the toolpath transitions between the two behaviors. Z-level gives you the stability and predictability needed for steep walls, while flow adapts to the broader, blended surfaces without interruption. Together, they show the flexibility of the 5-axis remachining cycle, automatically choosing the right strategy for each region and delivering full coverage on geometry that would otherwise require multiple separate operations. That brings the full workflow together. Across the different examples, we've seen how the remachining cycle adapts to a wide range of geometry, from traditional offset strategies to flow for continuous shallow finishing, and the combined steep-shallow approach using both Z-level and flow where each is most effective. What stands out is the consistency in how these patterns respond to the shape of the part. The system automatically recognizes steep areas, identifies blended or variable width regions, and applies the appropriate strategies without any extra boundaries or manual intervention. Whether it's maintaining engagement in steep corners or morphing passes smoothly across broad surfaces, the toolpath stays connected to the topology and delivers a predictable, uniform finish. Thanks for watching this walkthrough. If this was useful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we're always looking for ideas. Tell us in the comments what you want to see in the next demo.